Recording. So first of all, I want to wish all of you guys I wished you all happy Thanksgiving. I remember saying it in the chat, seeing you guys here again. Hope you guys had a great weekend, got to enjoy time with your families. Took some time a little off, so it was very much needed. It was very helpful. So let's get right into it. We're going to review last week's trades. And pretty much I was about to start going through the markets, but then I realized it was already 6, so I haven't even been able to see anything myself. So let's get right into it. So AUDJPY, man, has patience been tested here? So obviously I took this trade around here. As soon as we took the trade around here, everything we were looking for, rejection. We were pretty much in drawdown for about a day and a half, almost 2. Wicked this out, then flew into profit. Would have hit my take profit 2 if I would have gave this just a little bit more breathing room. Other than that, it's just pretty much at the same spot. I'm gonna delete this for now because it's pretty much no good. So with that being said, it still looks good. You guys see how it still looks good on the weekly time frame, how it still kind of looks the same. This guy's still in it. Damn, that's crazy, man. So you had a nice stop. So this shows you, because a lot of people now, they would have seen this on the 4-hour and they're like, oh no, now it's bullish, or now this. No, man, like just go back out to the higher time frames, which is what you're obviously trading, because this is obviously a swing trade. 1, you're selling with the weekly, daily, and 4-hour bearish, which is fire. 2, you're selling at a weekly area of interest. So exactly how I explained to you guys last week, you can't expect the swing trade to have quick movements like that. Like it kind of moves like a big whale. It's just like slowly moving into its things like this. So whenever it gets to an area of interest, it's not supposed to tap and go. That's why I said about these wicks. So this wick, we thought we were getting into it, but it obviously wicked us out. So this week, I am not taking this trade into it. Does not give us that wick. Give us that little wick, and then I'll be like, all right, cool. That means, you fluctuated. That's why I don't take trades on Sunday. Yes, even though we have a very nice, clean 4-hour bearish engulfing right now, cool. But I do heavily think that we should have a wick. Why? Because we should come back, touch 9,400, touch around psychological level. And if you, statistically just look to the left, there's never a candlestick that doesn't have a wick, even as something as small as this one. Let me just zoom in so you guys see it. You guys see oh wait, no, that one doesn't have one. It was the crosser getting mixed to it. Well, some cases you have ones like this one that it doesn't have a wick, but it's didn't happen in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, almost 20 weeks. So maybe it could happen now again. But what I do know is that I won't be trading it until we don't have that wick. Other than that, I'm pretty much the same on the trade, unless we happen to body close above. Cool, we body close above, then that means that we are now going to come back, retest this area as support, and go to the upside. As you can tell, exactly what we did here. We sell when we're under, when we break above, we buy. That's like the beauty of these areas of interest, because whenever you're at the area of interest, you either sell when you're at it, or if you break above, you buy, vice versa. So AUDJPY so far looks good. Not interested into it. Doesn't do that wick. So I'm going to put my alarm right here at the top of this body, and it's going to let me know we are creating the weekly wick. I just simply don't want to take the trade into it does do the wick, because that means that this body has to come all the way back up into here, touch it, and then go. So me getting in right now would be pretty much pointless when I could get an entry when it comes up here. Does that make any sense? Type 1 if it does, type 2 if it doesn't. Fire. Okay, cool. Yeah. So it's almost like getting the better risk to reward. Jumping in now, it would be cool, but you kind of know that it has to create that wick, right? You obviously have an edge where you look at every other weekly candlestick and it has to create that wick. So if you know it's gonna most likely create the wick, why get in now before it creates the wick? So that's kind of my mindset behind that. So we'll move on. GJ, we'll start off on the weekly time frame. So GJ pretty much played out exactly how we were expecting for it. We were waiting for a retest of our area of interest. This happened to be our area of interest. I saw this trade play out in front of my eyes and I just didn't take it. So I remember last week we were right around here. We were waiting for the pullback to this area to go long, right? We all agree with that? Everything, we all agree with it? Okay, so if we zoom in here on GJ, and we go down to exactly what we would be waiting for, so we would go down to the 30-minute or 15-minute is where we would wait for the shift of structure. So let's go down to the, it's just beautiful. Like you can literally see it right here beautifully. So as I mentioned, I see Brandon laughing because he already knows. So, you know, obviously we understand we have to go bearish to come into this area. We have lower low, lower high, lower low. Here's the shift of structure, the pullback, bullish engulfing, set and forget. Like you guys are seeing how simple it is, right? I saw the shift of the, oh, a lot of you guys caught it. Okay. Yeah, I just didn't happen to catch this trade. I was focused on another one, but this trade was beautiful. Everything we talk about is like everything that I talk about in the golden video in the guided bootcamp is literally right here. You have to wait for the pullback to the area of interest. Once you get the pullback to the area of interest, you wait for the shift of structure, you wait for the engulfing, and then you're pretty much gone. If you didn't enter off of that engulfing, I can almost assure you there it is. You could have entered off of this engulfing, or you could have entered off of this engulfing right here. You could have had this as your entry, and if this would have been your stop loss. So let's say this wick is the last structure point. The guy at bootcamp tells it you got to have anywhere from 5 to 10 pips of a breathing room. So let's say you would have gave it 45 pips, and you're obviously buying at a daily area of interest. So you would set a take profit at your next daily structure point. Your next daily structure point would have been this for the easiest 1 to 5 ever. This is why I had this line marked off here. This was pretty much my take profit. You guys are seeing how that makes sense. You guys saw it play out from last week. You guys, everything is just right there. Just, you know, kind of suck side and get it. But, you know, seeing these things, and again, if you guys weren't on last week's live, literally just go to the Kajabi where the guided bootcamp is hosted and just watch the last video. Just watch me explain it. And everything I explain is pretty much exactly what unfolded right now. So I made $500. Fire. So yeah, so everything is there. So now pretty much for this week, I don't want to say I'm not interested in it. Let's just go back to the basics, right? So as you can tell, we're obviously bullish on the weekly. And again, before I keep going, remember, keep in mind of what I said the week before that. So 2 weeks ago, I had mentioned to you guys how we were here. And I'm like, we could look for a little day trade short, but keep in mind that we're swing trading to the upside. So if this movement, for whatever reason, body candlestick closes above this, we're obviously going to create a new high, right? So we're still continuing longs with the weekly. So now we just got to figure out where to get in on the daily. We understand this point is pretty much done. We understand this point is pretty much done. So now we got to find an area within here where we can possibly go long. Just dragging this out to the left. Let's hide this. Are you guys with me so far? Am I going too fast? How am I doing? Feel free to let me know. Super simple, clean, fire. Okay, perfect. Okay, so if this were to be this area now, it'll be marking off this right here. So we could potentially be running into a level of resistance. We look more left. It looks okay. Really GJ, ideally, if we can manage to come back into this area on the daily, let's say, well, not back into this area, because let's see how we retested this area on the 4-hour. Technically, not really. But if we do come into this area, then the 4-hour would shift completely bearish. We would be creating left head, right shoulder. So kind of the only clean trade I'm personally seeing myself right now is if the daily comes back into this area, retest, support, resistance, some wicks in here to then continue going to the upside. That'll basically give us, because again, keep in mind what we're doing. This is what I keep reminding you guys. We're buying with the weekly. So in order for this to give us, tell me if this makes any sense. In order for this to give us a higher high on the weekly time frame, do you think this is just gonna keep kind of trickling up? Not really. It kind of needs to, create its retracement so it could continue going to the upside. So we're at a point where we can potentially reject, because we've done it in the past, to give us our retracement to this level, to then come back up and create a new high. So then this is where the daily EMA will potentially catch up, and so on and so forth. So kind of for me, makes perfect sense. Awesome. So this would be my area of interest. So this would be my area of interest where I'd be looking to buy, because I don't want to buy right now. I pretty much can't, because it's a resistance. And if we don't come back into this area to go long, I would pretty much just wait for a break here, retest, and then go long. So kind of for GJ, looking for something like this. If not, I'll be looking for something like this. Gold, I'm sure all of you guys saw it last week as well, but it was pretty much simple. You guys remember this trade from last week or no? Type 1 if yes, type 2 if no. Actually, my bad, guys. Before I go into GJ, you guys get gold. I mean, before I go into gold, you guys get GJ. Is it simple? Is it clean? Got it. Sharp. Perfect. Okay. So gold. Gold. So I remember last week in gold, we had pretty much this marked off right here, where we had this inverted head and shoulders. And for our day trade down, we were looking to get that retracement to sell. We obviously never got the retracement. It is what it is. We just move on to the next trade that does. And then once we get into this area, this is where you would wait for the shift. So here you could have possibly gotten stopped out once, because this would have been a very nice area. And if you guys look at it, it's literally the same thing as GJ, literally the same exact thing. You see how it's creating bearish structure, and then here you pretty much have the shift and then the breakout. So this is where you could have taken your trade long around here. But then this comes to the point where it's crazy, because everything has like a point where it could get you out of the trade if it doesn't make sense. So this is where you would get your stop loss. And if this were to be the last point, you would have to put it 10, 15 pips under the last point. Does that make sense? You guys remember this from GJ, how I just did it shortly ago? So if you do that, and then let's say you put your take profit back at this point right here. In this case, obviously it does, make sense to risk to reward. But let's say your take profit was this point for whatever reason. You can't take this trade, because notice how small the risk to reward is. Now, I don't care that this stop loss is this big. Obviously, we're taking the swing trade. Obviously we know the volatility of gold, so having a stop loss this big is pretty crazy. But if you're trading any funded account or any challenge account, it shouldn't be an issue. But let's say for whatever case you took the trade with a stop loss here, how I pretty much would have, this trade you would have gotten stopped out, but then I would have came into this area, and if you would have taken the other trade, which was right around here, you get the breakout pretty much once it goes bullish, you would have gotten stopped out again, because just, the news love doing their thing. And if you'd have given it a third try right around here, it would have played out for a little bit. But what matters is that the overall move and the overall play of the market is working. Like the approach is real. So now this same exact approach you had here, basically pull back to area of interest to then retest the zone, is the same thing you would do on any other pair. You guys are seeing how that kind of makes sense? Like, obviously this had some little wick outs, that shit happens in the market, that's basically inevitable. But you see how the same exact approach we had here, we had on GJ, and you're seeing the beauty of how it played out, right? So for gold this week, I don't like how we are at this area right here, because again, We are bearish on the weekly. We are bullish on the daily, but the 4-hour is now bullish. So we would have this as bullish. So the only thing I don't like is that, okay, look, so the weekly we had the wick retracement that we're looking to, but we're at this area where it's a very strong level of resistance, support, support. You go down to the daily time frame and you can see it even stronger. It's a very strong level of support and resistance. And in this case, we are under. So I'm really not trying to buy under this area because we'd basically literally be doing this. So I'd be looking for this. I need a breakout to go to the upside. Am I looking to take a trade to the downside? Not really. Just because it just doesn't make any sense to me. So kind of the only thing that I would be waiting for here, which if you notice, this is such a beautiful zone. Look at this. Whenever you're under, it's rejecting. Whenever you're above, it's rejecting. Whenever you're under, it's rejecting. And I feel like what this is doing right now, it's literally like what I just mentioned with GJ. Everything that creates a high has to create a higher low to keep going to the upside. So in this case, we had this beautiful double bottom, made a high. So we're at the area. It's literally the same thing with GJ, just on the 4-hour versus on the daily. We're at the area where we're supposed to reject, to have the retracement, to come back, retest the zone, to then have the push to the upside. Do you guys are seeing how that makes sense or not? You guys have any questions with that? Any concerns? This is so key because as soon as you understand this, you understand why you should stay out of this trade, and you would basically know once we're right here what's pretty much about to happen. You should have an understanding of it. It just, tell me it doesn't look naked. It looks like it's pretty much missing something. It's kind of missing to fill this to keep going to the upside, right? I swear it doesn't. Exactly. So in this case right here, what I would be needing is a break above 1755, have a retest, and then at that point we're pretty much in the clear because it's done it in the past. I personally myself would love a daily body candlestick close above. If we have a daily body candlestick close above, this is where I would wait for the wick pullback. And then you guys already know what we would look for that point. On that wick pullback, this is where we would have the shift. In the shift, you wait for it to go bullish, and then you go to the upside. How do you guys like gold? Am I going too slow? Should I speed it up? What are you guys thinking? Good, perfect, fire. And again, I'm only touching up on the 3 pairs that we've done last week. Maybe there's other pairs this week that look better, right? So I'm just touching up on what happened last week and what I'm looking for. So next we have, perfect. Very descriptive, amazing. So next we have Euro GBP, which pretty much exactly what we expected for it to happen. Again, go back to last week's Zoom. We were expecting for it to come back into this area. So then look for the sell. You guys can see how we had the beautiful break here. We would have basically, if you would have counted this like an elbow, which ideally, it depends, if you look down and you look for the taps and stuff, but we had the perfect retest of 8,700, retest of the area of interest. Let's see if in here there is a shift of structure. I'm gonna be completely honest, I have not seen this, so I have no idea. And would you look at that? Do you guys see it? Like it's literally insane. I don't know this. I don't care how long I've been trading for, but seeing this play out time and time again is just insane to me. So you wouldn't count this as an elbow. You would count this as a high. Let's do it like this. Watch. When it's like this, it's very crazy. I want to see at what time this played out. So you guys would count this as a higher high, correct? Type 1 if yes, type 2 if no. Okay, bet. So if this is your higher high, then this would be your higher low, correct? With me? Fire. So let's keep it going. Obviously, that didn't body candlestick close under. So that means that this would come here as our new higher high. This would come as our higher low, correct? You guys are with me? Type 1 if yes, type 2 if no. Amazing, amazing, a bunch of ones. So what we're looking for now that we already got our time frames bearish, we already have the pulled up to our area of interest, everything we want, we need the most important rule, which is the shift of structure. So the shift of structure would be the break of this point, and then you're pretty much golden. You would wait for a little pullback if needed to then go to the downside. And then perfectly, we would have our candlestick closure right there. And I'm gonna be completely honest. Let's see. Let's say if I would have taken this trade right around here. What time was this? Damn, it doesn't let me see on the playback. Let's say this was the previous point. So 20 pips, we would give it about 5 to 10 pips. So let's say we give it a solid 27 pips, which is in the meeting about it. And then let's say our take profit is the next structure point, which would be this point right here. Let's see how that would look on the 4 hour. So around this zone is good. Gives us a 1 to 2. Ideally, I'm looking for a 1 to 2.5. So if I would want to stretch it out, if I would want to adjust this a little bit lower, you'd want to make it work. But trade is definitely looking nice. And then it pretty much hits it rock solid. So you guys are seeing how the same approach, same everything, and the power of the shift of structure. You guys are seeing the beauty of the shift of structure at the area of interest. So this pretty much played out perfectly. I didn't manage to get it. Let's see at what time that gave me that. Damn, yeah, 3:30 in the morning. Usually I'm trading GJ at that time. So, which I'm low-key gonna stop trading GJ. At that time, it's kind of very draining on my body. So I'm gonna stop doing that. But yeah, perfectly, happened for this week. So let's delete this zone right here. Before I keep going, you guys are seeing how when we were up here, we were looking for breakouts to buy, and then how we pretty much knew when to shift to the downside, like the beauty of knowing where you are in the market. So right now, really not interested in this. We are pulling up to a nice area, but we're kind of coming into this previous structure point right here. Honestly, I'm good. Like, it's really that simple. There's no clean elbows. We kind of already missed it. Getting in right here, it's kind of getting in on another wick. I'm good. I don't really like how it looks. AUD USD. So this was our area of interest where we're looking to pretty much take our trade. I believe somebody in here mentioned this trade last week, I believe, right? That they were waiting for the retracement into this area, because I don't normally trade. Yeah, Jason, there you go. Jason, did you manage to get the opposite side? Because I remember we were looking at it like this, bullish, and then we were looking for this right here. So at this point right here, so let's see if the shift of structure would have avoided the loss in the trade. Does that make sense? Do you guys remember what we were looking for on this trade before I get into that? Because I actually don't even know what happened. But do you guys want me to explain what we were looking for last week? Yes, touch it one more time. Okay, perfect. Okay, so last week when we were looking at this trade, it was something like this. So we had marked off the weekly time frame bearish, the daily bullish, and the 4-hour bearish. So we're obviously looking to sell with the weekly time frame, and we have pulled up to our weekly area of interest number 1. Weekly area of interest, we have level of support, support, resistance, so on. So this is where we went down to the daily, and we noticed that on the daily we can't sell directly into the support. We would have to wait for the break under, the retest, to then sell. We all agree with that? Type yes if 1, type 2 if no. Okay, perfect. So this is where we would go down to the 4-hour, and then we would see how the 4-hour has shifted bearish. This is where we see how the 4-hour has gone from bullish to then bearish. And now we're pretty much waiting for this inverted head. I mean, not inverted, for this head and shoulders to play out. You're going to wait for it to break under, come back, retest the 4-hour EMA, and retest 6,500 to sell, right? Because we're selling with the weekly at the weekly area of interest. You guys are with me so far? Type 1 if yes, type 2 if no. Fire, fire, fire. Okay. So this is where we would pretty much be waiting for the break under. So now when we get the break under, this is where we would zoom into the 15-minute, 30-minute, and we would wait for the retracement to this area. Once we get the retracement, we would need the shift of structure to take the trade to the downside. You guys are with me? Type 1 if yes, type 2 if no. Fire. All right, so now let's go down to the 30-minute and let's see if we get a pullback to this area of interest. And once we get the pullback, if we get the shift of structure. So here we're still creating lower lows. So here it goes. So we're now on our way to the area of interest. So as of right now, I would consider this point to be our higher high, and then this to be our higher low. Do we all agree? Because you see how it went from bearish to now bullish, right? Type 1 if yes, type 2 if no. All right, bet. So in order for us to take this trade, we would need to get the break under this to sell, right? We all agree with that? Simple. So let's just wait for that. So now this higher high moves up to here. We haven't created any elbows. So this higher high is actually moved into here. Keep it going. So as of right now, is this a higher low? Yes or no? Oh, Jason got it. Perfect, perfect. Love this. Love this. All of you guys have been seeing the videos. Good, good. So yes, this is not anything. This is just structure. It's only a higher low or higher high when we break above or break under. So we'll keep it going. Okay, so technically, as of right now, this right here has body closed above. And I personally would mark this off as the higher low. I would mark off literally one candlestick on the 30-minute as an elbow. So I'd mark off this point. So now we need the break of this point to go short. Do we get a break of this? So now if this moves as the higher high, then I would need this to be the higher low. So now we would need the break of this to go to the downside. Do we get it? We never get the shift of structure. You guys are seeing that? And then obviously now it just pretty much just plays out to the upside. So we were at our area of interest and we never got our shift of structure to go to the downside. Fucking beautiful. This is literally beautiful. Seeing how just waiting for that simple shift could have avoided the loss of this trade. Type 1 if you guys see that play out. Type 2 if no. Fire, fire. Charles, what's up, man? See you, Charles. Charles is an OG. Exactly. So this is a perfect trade. Yeah, exactly. You just avoid the loss by the simple shift of structure. Would I have taken the long? Probably not, because I'm just interested in the shorts. As of right now, this trade, I'm good. I don't really like it, honestly. NZD CAD. So NZD CAD could probably be a clean day trade, maybe. Yes, this could be a pretty clean day trade. Because if you notice, we have obviously a weekly higher high. We've pretty much been weekly for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, and we can use a little retracement either to this area to go long. So you guys already know what we would do here. If we mark this off as our higher high, and this would be a higher low, whatever, this is where you start looking for areas of interest. So area of interest 1. Well, a reason why I think we could have a retracement is because we're pulling up to this level right here. So we're pulling up to a level of support. Wow, yeah, this trade actually looks pretty nice. Support, 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 resistance, and we could use a retracement to, let's call it this zone right around here. So this would be our pullback to area of interest number 1, retest the weekly EMA, retest weekly structure. Bro, Jason just tripped out. I wish I would have caught your reaction, bro. That was funny. So we can have a retracement to retest weekly EMA, weekly structure point to then go to the upside. And then if we break through here, then we can come all the way down to this point to then go to the upside. So right now we're kind of predicting the top of this point because this could pretty much keep going, but we have an idea that this could come down. Why? Well, because we're pulling up to a level of support and resistance. So as we were to go down to the daily, what a coincidence that the daily is kind of, slowing down in motion. Yes, for a fact, we are bullish here. We are bullish on the daily, bullish on the weekly, and then on the 4-hour, we're still technically bullish. This would be our higher high, higher low. This would be a higher low. This would be a higher high. So we got to break this point in order for that. But we can get like an ultra day trade here because it just needs the retracement. It's that simple. So this is kind of something that I do like off of what I put in the guided bootcamp. This is just something that I guess like a little more risky. But you can see that this is shifting right now. You can see how it's about to go bearish. So in order for me to take this trade, I pretty much would need the break under this, retest of the EMA, retest of support and resistance, and then we should start going all the way to this area of interest, which is the spot where we would be looking to buy on the weekly time frame. And again, you got to ask yourself a very simple question. Do you think that this huge move will have a wick retracement into here, and then the next, and within the same week, have a high? Pretty much no, it's not going to happen within the week. So this is why you got to have the bigger vision. You got to understand that this short might possibly play out for a much longer time. Or let's say once we come into this area, understand to not jump in right away. It's not going to need just one wick to then have this. It could happen, but we're kind of just needing the shift of momentum, right? You guys understand what I'm going there? I'm talking a lot of shit. You guys got to tell me when I start talking. I just don't stop. I'm just talking to myself here. So so before I keep going, does this make sense? Does it look clean? By the way, I have you guys here like on this side. I'm thinking like I'm looking at all of your guys' faces right here on the right of the screen. Fire. Okay, perfect. So as of right now, I think NZD CAD is cleaner than Euro GBP and all these other trades, in my opinion. So I'm gonna put this one up here. Let's just see what else kind of looks clean. Euro JPY, nothing really. Nothing really here. Euro USD. So Euro USD, huh? Euro USD is obviously bullish. You guys see how we've shifted from bullish, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high. The daily time frame, we are now creating higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. We could be creating a little pullback retracement. I don't really like it. USD JPY, gotcha. I'll check it out right now. All right, cool. So we have here our area of interest. We've come into our area of interest. So if we break the area of interest 1, we don't need that anymore. Daily, well, what do we need this for? I don't even know what any of this is. So now that we're at this area, so let's just put here. The daily is bearish. We have lower low, lower high, lower low. But we could be creating, damn, this trade actually might actually be very nice. 4-hour. Okay, yeah, so the 4 hour is technically bearish. So as you can see here, we have the 4 hour higher high, higher low, higher high. Actually, we are bullish. See the importance of double checking everything. So we have here lower low, higher high, lower low. And then we broke under here, making this the lower low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So we have the pullback to the area of interest in here. So we would want to shift of structure. Look at this beautiful trade right here, guys. Look at this beautiful lower low, higher high, higher low. Boom. Was that too fast? Was I not even making sense? You have a command, says sync. Perfect, bro. This trade is literally beautiful. So what I'm waiting for this week on USD CAD. So if you got, let's see. What am I waiting for on USD CAD here? Let's see. Should be a very simple one. There you go. Brandon got it. Nicholas got it. I think it's PK got it. Josh got it. Vanessa, Juan, Ronnie. All of you guys got it. Jaden got it. All right. So what we're waiting for here, very simple. That wick. We just need that little wick pullback to take this trade long. Again, just look at the market. Find me a candlestick here that doesn't have a wick. We have one candlestick here. This one has a little wick at the top there. That's just for a fact. Let's just zoom in. Peep that wick. You guys are seeing that? You guys are seeing that right there? Simple wick. Small, right? That is exactly what we need right here. See, guys, I mean, I'm not gonna say it. There's a lot. We actually have ladies in here. If this were to be all guys, I would have a joke for you guys, but I can't say. I see Jacqueline is here. Jacqueline seems like a very nice lady, but I had a joke for all of my guys talking about the size of the wick, but it's okay. But all that matters is that the size of that wick could make the biggest, shift in this whole entire market move. So we would just need this wick pullback right here. All right, so creating wick. When it creates the wick, it would pretty much, what a coincidence, but it's crazy, bro. Like me looking back at it's just insane to me. When it's creating that wick, right? Notice this 1 inch, 2 inch wick. When you go down to the 1 hour time frame, look what it's doing. It's giving us our higher low at this previous structure point to take the trade to the upside. Like, look how crazy that is. So for a fact, this is for all the boys. It's going on number 1. No, I'm kidding. But it's definitely going to be my interest for this week. We got USD CAD at the top. We got this one for potential shorts. Then let's keep it going. I'm just good here. This one looks pretty interesting. Not really, actually. GBP, CHF. I'm just waiting for this to get broken above. GU. I'm good, honestly. UJ. So UJ. Oh, okay. Now I see why a lot of you guys were mentioning UJ. So UJ right now, well, you guys are seeing this short, right? Like, are you guys seeing the beauty of this? I marked off this zone. I wish TradingView, maybe it does. You guys can tell me if it doesn't. Like, does TradingView say when I put this box up here? I put this box up here, who knows when? And look at the importance of just marking off the proper zone. We have the break, the tap of the zone, and then the pullback. So what we would be waiting for in this area is a shift of structure. Do we all agree? Yes. So as we go down to the 30-minute, and let's see if we can find the shift of structure. Ladies and gentlemen, look at the shift of, well, there's 2 shifts of structure. There's one right here. So let's say if you would count this as your higher low, higher high, higher low. And let's say this would be your trade right here at the break of this. Let's say this was your stop loss, 45 pips. You give it 10 pips, making it 55. That is fucked up, man. It would have wicked you out by nothing. And shit happens. You just got to move on to the next trade. It literally is what it is. You're not going to now change your whole approach and be like, you know what, from this point on, 2 inches does matter. We're going to go up to 65. So you simply you got to keep it to the trading plan. It is what it is. These things are going to happen. So now you just, yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I just eat too much shit, bro. So you just got to move on to the next trade. So this is where you would wait for the shift of structure again. And then you just, you go with the trade at the point there. But the shift of structure perfectly happened right here. And then you got, Max is crying out here, man. So then you put the stop loss above, wicks you out, you get it on the other trade. But you see how there's multiple different shift of structure here. So exactly what we were waiting for, if you would have been looking at this trade, could have been taken. But I'm assuming now we are looking for the weekly swing trade, which is a very clean trade. I agree for a fact. So we're no longer looking at that. So we have weekly bullish. We'll go to the daily now. Then in the daily, we are technically bearish on the daily. You see here we have low, lower high. This body candlestick closed under that for a fact. So daily is bearish. And then the 4 hour is bearish as well, right? You guys agree with me on this? So here we have the 4 hour bearish. So the ideal thing would obviously, which would, be pretty much perfect, would be for the shift of it to pretty much go bullish. Then at that point, you'd be retesting this, and then you're retesting daily EMA, retesting structure point, retesting around psychological 4,200. You have all these time frames in sync, everything you want. But if you want this trade, if you want to take this trade, keep in mind to the rule, one of the main rules, but rule number one, you need 2 time frames in sync to take the trade, not 2 inches, 2 time frames to take the trade in sync. So, so this is why let's say you would call this let's just say you would call this your lower high. This would be your lower high, and this would be your lower low. Or let's just call this your lower high, just to keep it cleaner. This would be your lower low. Technically, you would have to wait for this to break all the way this point, which, what a coincidence, this point is your 4 hour lower high point, and then your daily. Does that make sense? So something else we could do, or not, well, we can't do, we got to let the market do it. Let's say this creates its lower low. Dope. If this creates a lower low, then you put this here, you put this here, and this is where you would wait for this, and then you take the trade to the upside, because then now you have the 4 hour bullish giving you 2 time frames in sync. Does that make sense? Is it clear? Clean, fire, perfect. It's a very nice trade. I'm going to add this to my watch list to the bottom of all of these. It's a beautiful setup, but there's just one thing I don't like about USD JPY, and that's where we are. We are at the highs of the Jesus everything. We're like at pretty much all-time highs, and this is a very strong monthly candlestick, huge bearish engulfing candlestick. So what I think we can do, and what I believe we already know what it's going to do, the next monthly candlestick, it's gotta create a fucking wick. So we just buy that wick, and then we know we got to figure out where to get out, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm not trying to create a higher high here, because I literally don't know where it's gonna go. You get me? Like, I can't place a take profit because there's nowhere to place a take profit to. So if it's gonna create a lower high, we got to figure out how to get out before it, keeps dropping. Because I'm telling you right now, this is coming all the way here. Like, we can come back to this whenever. This is coming all the way down here for a fact. So there's going to be a shit ton of shorts. There's going to be a clean short once we break and retest this point. There's going to be a clean short once we break and retest this point. These are all shorts that we're going to catch. We obviously just got to wait for the market to get there. But for this week, if I were to mark off my top three would be So no, I like this one. USD CAD, I really like this one. This is the main one for the week, guys. USD CAD. This is a nice little day trade. And then we got this one at the bottom. All right, so this is how I would mark off my trades for the week. Gold, because pretty much all we just need is a little retest above to go long. USD CAD, we just need that wick, boys, that little wick pullback to give us the higher low to go to the upside. And then we have NZD CAD where we could catch a nice little trade to the downside. Everything else after here is kind of going to take its time to head to the upside. Let's stop the recording.